Hello, anybody who's watching this. Welcome to my reaction to the story of Kony2012 by internet historian. I haven't seen internet history videos for a while, and I have no idea what Kony2012 is. I think I've seen some memes, but I don't know the original story or whatever is happening here, so if you have a video for me to react to or want to help out the channel, the donation link is in the description below. And let's begin this. Oh, stop at nothing, okay. Please start talking, I want to check the volume.
Kony2012 is the story of a man, Jason Russell, and his relentless quest to stop Ugandan warlord, Joseph Kony.
Oh.
Let's begin where the action started.
Okay.
On March 5th, 2012, a charity called Invisible Children published a high-production video called Kony2012. It was an awareness campaign seeking to mobilize action to capture or kill Ugandan warlord Joseph Kony.
And the goal of the story was to make Kony famous.
30 minutes long, it really tried to pull at your heartstrings.
At the end of my life, I want to say that the world we've left behind is one that Gavin can be proud of. A place that doesn't allow Joseph Konys and child soldiers.
And little Gavin would have been proud, because it took off like no video on YouTube ever had.
We wanted 500,000 views in the whole year of 2012. We got 500,000 views in the first 3 hours.
It received 100 million views in the first 6 days, 1.4 million likes. Click that link in the description below. They clicked it so hard the website went down, and their email was so inundated that the service provider assumed it was an attack and temporarily pulled the plug. The Times named it the most viral video ever. It raised the charity over $20 million.
Damn.
People really went fucking bananas for this video and those Ugandan kids. 4 million hashtags. People changed their Facebook profiles, so you knew it was a big deal. A fan-made mobile game. Are you woke about Joseph Kony? Yeah, but are you woke enough to get a tattoo? People were up for pretty much anything to stop Kony, as long as it didn't involve any practical action. One like equals one saved child. But who is Joseph Kony?
So 1.4 million child
well,
was
he's
saved.
the leader of the Lord's Resistance Army,
Childs.
LRA.
My God, you're greasy.
And he really is one of the most evil people living today. Imagine the worst crime you can think of committing, and he'll have done it thousands of times over.
Takes children, makes them kill their parents and eat their parents.
The surviving girls would be kept as sex slaves, and the boys conscripted into the LRA as child soldiers.
I know, it's kind of a bummer.
It's all part of a civil conflict that's been going on for 30 years. We'll get into the details later, but for now, consider this our one-dimensional bad guy. And here's our protagonist, Jason Russell, the figurehead of Kony2012 and Invisible Children. He's a devout Christian, stereotypically Californian.
I do consider myself a refined valley dude.
But he has a bad boy side too.
Okay.
So it all starts in 2003 when, as a naive and aspiring filmmaker, he goes to Uganda with 2 friends in search of a story. While driving through a rural village,
A car was shot in front of us by a rebel army who was led by a guy named Joseph Kony.
Damn it, I couldn't stop the thing because I was fucking around with the sound. A bit misleading, it was a car that had taken the same road earlier in the day. Jason and Kirk weren't there to witness it. Okay.
By a rebel army who was led by a guy named Joseph Kony.
they drive to a city for safety and find this.
Who will win shit?
Turns out it's part of a nightly routine. Kids live in the villages, but commute to the city to sleep there to avoid being kidnapped in midnight raids by the LRA.
Thousands and thousands of kids, without an adult in sight.
Jason had found his story. And a cause. It must have made a real impression on him, because for the next 10 years he dedicated himself, almost exclusively, to trying to improve things in Uganda and stop Kony.
Okay, for a second I thought that he went there in 2003 and it took him 9 years to do anything about the situation that he witnessed. Why the second thing upside down? Anyway.
Kony2012 was the culmination, but in the preceding years he tried a bunch of other schemes. This,
Schemes?
The bracelet campaign.
this,
Twice daily broadcast about where the LRA is and where they're active.
and this.
Do what we always do. Dance.
Excuse me?
This is all real.
We're on a mission, put Uganda deep inside your mind.
Okay.
It needs attention and a dance to make it sparkle and shine. We gotta shake it up and break it up. We'll end the war without a gun.
Naturally, questions have
Okay.
been raised about his sexual orientation.
All these other rumors too that you were gay.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I've heard those rumors.
Yeah.
My parents started a large children's theater organization, so I am
Theatrical.
theatrical.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Straight men are allowed to enjoy musicals. It's current year.
Right. I kind of skimmed through it without understanding what happened. Russell Spine founded a national organization called Christian Youth Theater, and he's playing his child Tin Man, Mr. Todd, Peter Pan. He liked musical theater, and his best friend was a girl, Danica, whom he met at age 7 and went on to marry. Okay. Since 7 years they know each other, and they've got that's a long time.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Straight men are allowed to enjoy musicals. It's current year. Back to Kony2012. So the
Right.
video lays out a plan called Cover the Night. Here's what you do. Pay $30 for your super special Kony action kit. Whoa, that's nice. In the kit you'll find 5 items. Button, bracelet, stickers, shirt, and these
For
posters.
30?
Then, on April 20th, in the dead of
Okay.
night, go out and vandalize your town with awareness.
And wake up to hundreds of thousands of posters demanding justice on every corner.
It was going to be amazing. Everyone was on board. The countdown to April 20th had begun, and all Jason and Co. had to do
Did it have to be 420?
was keep the momentum going and not fuck it up.
But
The new way to move the world to action.
But this movie is not without critics.
Critics say the film manipulates the facts.
Simplifying the story.
Oversimplifying a wildly complex issue.
is too late. Joseph Kony and his forces have been significantly reduced.
Pro-war activism.
Utterly naive to
By
think
next week, this will be a passing
These
fad.
white Westerners sort of getting on a bandwagon, and actually they haven't got a clue what they're talking about.
A day or two
I hate the media, but I can understand some of the points. Like, it could be pro-war. I'm not sure exactly what he wants to do. Like, with the money that he's getting. What his charity does. It could be pro-war. He could be wanting that America will go to Uganda to stop that. Also could be that he's simplifying the issue. That was one of the phrases, which is, he just shows, yeah, he's a bad man, but maybe he says how to fix it, but in reality, it's not that easy to fix. It's a whole different country and a whole different continent.
later, the
We'll
heady
see.
excitement gave way to more down-to-earth analysis. Media commentators started making scathing critiques of the video. The
Okay.
testimony from Uganda wasn't entirely positive either.
Oh,
It's
no
unfortunate
shit.
that we can have people who are merchandising but using people's problems.
Then it got really serious.
Oh,
Teenage girls started weighing in.
Oh,
Ponies.
no.
I asked my mom, and my mom laughs and goes, "He died like 5 years ago."
This is wrong, by the way, but it was seen by 4
Okay.
million people. From a source of my mum said it, so it must be true. The term slacktivism started cropping up more and more.
slacktivism.
Legitimate
Okay.
questions were asked. How will the money donated be spent?
That
Yes.
invisible children would send would have to go to the Ugandan military.
Why did you put your son in the film?
You know, why would you put your son in the film? You know, why did you put yourself in the film? It was questions about our sincerity.
But he did put himself in the film. Isn't that him? On the left? I think he probably put his son in the film. If you're gonna talk about good reasons to show how kids supposed to live. Like he has an apartment, a loving family, like a place to live, a family that lives with him, that feeds him as well, and he knows nothing about the war. From the other side, it could be just a manipulation that look at the child, help the child. I don't know. To play on people's
Why are they saying
insecurities.
Kony is in Uganda when he's actually in the Central African Republic?
Oh.
Invisible Children wasn't popular among other charities either. They were hogging the limelight. And they released Kony2012 just 2 days before International Women's Day, a critical fundraising time for some. Even the Ugandan Prime Minister took a few jabs.
We do not need a sleek video on YouTube for us to take notice.
Okay.
Once people started feeling misled, they turned against the organization and squared the blame on one person. The pressure was building.
Once again, I can actually take Ugandan's Prime Minister's side as well in the same manner. Because it doesn't matter if he's in Central Africa or not. What matters is that to deal with him, you need to go pretty much to war. And a lot of people are gonna die. Which is, if you look at like at the long run, you'll save a lot of people as well. But a lot of people are gonna die now, so more people gonna live better lives after the situation. You're not making this easy, are you? No, I put you down to the table. No. Stop. Stop that. You broke your laser pointer, and I'll fix it later. Go. Run away. I'm scaring him away, so he'll run. But he didn't budge this time. You can't be serious right now, can you? There's a serious issue, and you're making this more difficult than it's supposed to be. Go away. No! Go away. Go away. Okay.
Online backlash and a hectic
Forgot what I
schedule
was talking
was
about.
starting to take a toll.
God damn it!
My phone was getting 10 text messages every second. It was just...
Millions of supporters on one side, millions of critics on the other.
Ow.
On and on and on.
Make Kony famous? Well, it made Jason famous too. And the
Ow.
pressure kept increasing. He was flying all over the country to spread his message.
No.
Red Eye to New York.
Ow.
At 5 in the morning.
Working around
There.
the clock.
On the Today Show, People Magazine, Reuters. By day 3, I was in LA doing interview after interview after interview. 17 interviews in 48 hours. Wow. So
He was sleeping less and becoming more erratic.
not being
probably,
able
yeah.
to sleep, not being able to stop my racing mind.
Criticism from every
But
direction.
your choice.
You're the worst. You're terrible. And Kony's dead.
They started saying the whole project was for his ego, or based on greed, and not just criticism, responsibility.
Possible.
How are you going to stop children
Hey.
from being murdered, Jason? You promised a solution, Jason.
Yeah.
When are you going to deliver Kony?
At the end of that day, my mind was exhausted.
To release the
Ow.
pressure, he and his family tried to take a couple of days off by going to Palm Springs. But people recognized him there too, so they hid away in their hotel room with the curtains closed. Jason was starting to crack. Paranoia, delusions of grandeur. He went with his family to see the Lorax, and he thought the film was speaking to him directly. Voices in Jason's head
he
told
goes
him that he
delusional.
needed to get to New York in the next 12 hours, or Kony would win, whatever that meant. Then, he stripped off all of his clothes and ran out into the street.
I was on a street in San Diego. totally naked, and crazy out of my mind. Someone driving by in a car took
God
a video on
damn
their
it.
phone, and they sold it to TMZ for $30,000. And then my naked and crazy mess went viral as well.
Some have said that he was jacking it and that he was on drugs. Neither is true. It's just a very distressed man having a mental episode.
Were you also masturbating? Did I hear that too?
No one who was there ever said that
No.
was happening. I mean, I'm naked, so it's not a far extension of,
Hey.
imagination.
He was taken to the hospital.
Ow, face on my teeth. Ow.
When they showed up, they didn't see
Stop.
any of that and was taken to a local medical facility that he was not arrested though.
And there he thought the staff were trying to kill him.
Just
dear
one
God.
of those things where I'm like, I don't believe what you're saying. You're trying to kill me.
He ran around in his underwear, kicking indoors until eventually he was subdued and sedated.
Did you come back
Really?
to yourself as you know
Can you
yourself?
give up? Can you stop?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. 2 weeks. Whoa.
Yeah.
Later on, one Sharona Reed tried to sue Mr. Russell for the trauma of having to see him do naked calisthenics. As far as I can tell, though, that lawsuit went nowhere.
Can you think of anything else that's worse than running around naked going like this on TMZ?
Well, maybe one thing.
Yeah, I get. Oh,
While all of this was happening,
Honestly,
the
no.
countdown to the day of action was still ticking.
there we go.
Thousands of kits had been sold. Get ready for an awareness campaign so effective you'll think you're living in Uganda. The kids rolled out into the street. Selfie sticks and posters ready. Let's do it.
Hey.
Let's save those kids. We're changing the world. Oh, God, yes.
No.
But it wasn't all well intended. Some took it as a chance to vandalize their neighborhood with impunity.
Yeah, I would assume that some people would
The
do
adults
that.
were left to clean up the mess. And despite the impression you might get from this fancy montage, the turnout was abysmal. Here are some figures. Toronto, 50,000 people registered. Real attendance? 50. Sydney,
50?
18,000 people
I wouldn't say
registered.
5,000.
Real attendance? 12. Montreal, 4,800 registered. Real attendance? 0. Instead, they cancelled their event and put up a post calling Invisible Children a fraud organization. This is what 4 million Kony hashtags gets you. Now, I bet you want to know where Invisible Children, Jason Russell, and Kony are now. But before I tell you that, I want to go on 2 quick tangents of things I found while researching.
Okay.
In the Kony2012 video, you'll see this guy, Louis Marino Ocampo, Chief Prosecutor for the International Criminal Court. This would be the organization that charges Kony if he was ever caught. Well,
why are you hitting yourself in the chin?
In 2017, a bunch of Louis' emails were leaked, and they detailed one hell of a caper to catch Kony and bring him to justice. I'm not making any of the following up, right?
Okay.
Here's the plan. Lure Kony out of the jungle with
How?
Brad Pitt
What the
and
fuck?
Angelina Jolie as bait.
Straight from a Hollywood movie, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt attempting to arrest an African warlord.
So it would go, the
Ow!
Aegis couple would fly
Hey!
to the edge of the jungle where Kony is hiding and call him up with an invitation to
Stop.
dinner.
Let me see.
Kony, starstruck, would of course say yes. He'd show up,
What if he doesn't
presumably
know
bottle
them?
of wine in hand and ready to mingle. Then, imagine his shock. It was a trap all along. Special forces would pop out from behind the cellar
Need to
bar
lock you in
and
a
get
box,
their
don't I?
guy.
One idea appears to have been for Angelina Jolie to lure him to a private dinner where he would be arrested.
It was a foolproof plan, but unfortunately, it was never realized. Once Miss
Okay.
Jolie stopped responding to Louis' weird emails, Ocampo approached George Clooney for use of his spy satellite.
The chief prosecutor
Wait,
had also
what?
attempted to recruit George Clooney in a plot to fly spy satellites over Libya.
Yes, that's correct. George Clooney partnered with a satellite company to spy on al-Bashir of Sudan. Okie doke. Anyway,
Okay.
he responded that the satellite wasn't powerful enough. So then Ocampo moved on to his backup date, Sean Penn, whom he invited to the UN security meeting in South Sudan. What?
Why did he agree?
And there were some people having fun with Kony2012 as well.
Sure, okay,
Turns
stop
out
this.
Kony looks a lot like Carl Weathers in the movie Predator. So an idea was formed. Take this screenshot from Predator, post it on Facebook, and say how great he is without mentioning the name.
Okay.
Then wait for some slacktivists to immediately assume it's Joseph Kony.
Yep.
Then you call them racist. It was good for a few minutes of fun. Then they tried it on the official meetup pages. Promptly deleted.
Cool.
So get a load of this total car crash, dumpster fire, shitstorm, diaper hurricane, am I right, guys?
Yeah, right.
Well, no. Despite all the mishaps and poor
Nothing
turnout,
happened?
Kony2012 was a massive success.
Ah,
the goal was to
well,
make
money-wise,
an
maybe.
warlord in rural Uganda a household name. And
Can
they
you
succeeded.
stop?
A reach in the hundreds of millions on a budget of about $1.5 million. Any marketing agency would kill for that. In fact, 7 years later, you probably clicked on this video because you have some vague notion of Kony and that video already. Now,
No.
let me give you a very brief rundown on where everyone is.
And I know when I said I've probably seen some memes, I've seen Corey in the house. So I expected that Kony2012 was something about election and that's where the Corey would have come from. I'm a fucking idiot. But let's continue.
Invisible Children, outside of long-term and small-scale projects, they've largely ceased operations.
Okay.
Joseph Kony, he's still out there, but his army is shrinking and splintering. He is effectively in hibernation. And
Okay.
Jason Russell, he's no longer with Invisible Children. He's also been breakdown free since 2012, but he's still doing the activism thing.
Okay.
Look, I've had to gloss over so many details in this video,
Yeah.
and there are so many more questions to be answered. But I don't want this video to be an hour long or to take 2 months more to make, so I'm going to round this one off with a Q&A on the second channel.
Yeah,
What
it's
about that
already
$20
out.
million they raised?
It's right
Why didn't
there.
the US military or the Ugandan military ever just bomb the shit out of Kony? What did Kony have to say about the video? All of these questions...
Wouldn't, if they bombed the shit out of Kony, wouldn't children get hurt? Unless he's in a different place at night, or I don't know.
More, plus any questions you may have of your own. Uganda want to see it. Boo.
I see you bought the Kony2012 action kit. You must be quite a social activist. Yeah. What are the things that remain now? Oh, you watched the 30-minute video? You must be quite a social activist.
Remember Ugandan Knuckles?
Yes. I wish I didn't. I wish I didn't. I also remember why you're running, but that's actually funny, unlike this shit. Not the way to... Shut the fuck up. Anyway, this was very interesting, and if people want me to watch Kony Q&A, I will. I don't have that big of an interest in it, but I would watch it if you want to. So, thank you anybody who watched this. I appreciate it a lot, and I hope to see you next time. Please subscribe, and goodbye. Have a great life, because one of us has to.